Hello, and welcome to this battle let's play for Total War Warhammer 2 Mortal Empires. Mortal Empires allows for some awesome new matchups between both Old World and New World factions. Before we get into the action, this let's play requires a bit of backstory. Many years ago, both dwarves and high elves basked in a golden era. Unfortunately, Malekith, the bitter, twisted Witch King, schemed to pit the two proud races against each other. Malekith's plot was a complete success, and these two titans of the time fought a war that devastated both sides immeasurably, ending their golden era. Now, from here on out we are making our own story. Many years have passed, and now Grombrindal the White Dwarf has finally uncovered Malekith's deception. He's travelled up to Naggaroth to wreak vengeance upon Malekith and his armies. However, news of Grombrindal's advance has not gone unnoticed, and Malekith has gathered a force in preparation of the dwarven attack and intercepted the army at the Iron Mountain Pass, just south of Naggaroth. Now, let's have a look at the forces that have trekked through Naggaroth to take down Malekith. Of course we have Grombrindal, a mighty warrior. We have one unit of Longbeards with great weapons and 3 units of Longbeards making up our main line. Next to them, we have 2 units of Miners, which will help crack through the armoured Dark Elves. We have 2 units of Hammerers and 2 units of Slayers, which will be great at taking down the cavalry and deadly War Hydra. They will be supported by the Iron Drakes with Trollhammer torpedoes, which will rip through the War Hydra. We also have gyrocopters on that right flank. Back in the centre, we have a Runesmith, which will provide some great support, and 2 units of Thunderers and 2 units of Quarrelers. All of this rounded off with organ guns at the back, providing some great ranged attack and forcing the Dark Elves to push towards us. Let's get this battle started and get revenge for the dwarven blood spilled. Now, first things first, we'll make the most of our starting position and move to the peak of the hill so the organ guns can start firing. We can see the Cold One Knights moving round to our right flank. Let's move our Slayers and Miners to deal with that attack and protect our valuable ranged units. So we can see Malekith and his army are making the approach and bringing this battle to us. Let's make sure our ranged units have skirmish mode turned off. I'm hoping to keep them protected by my front line and flanks, so they should be able to stay in place and fire the whole time. The organ guns are almost in position. We can get them firing on the enemy and do some early damage to the Dark Elves infantry. Our Iron Drakes can also start ripping into the War Hydra. It's such a powerful unit, so we need to take care of it as quickly as possible. The front lines have crashed now, and it's time for my infantry to get into the battle and get revenge for all of their lost brothers. These Cold One Knights almost just caught me off guard there. I think I've managed to turn my Slayers around just in time to prevent a flanking penalty. Their dual wield axes should be able to slay these Cold One Knights. I'm going to use these Miners to chase away the Shades, as I don't want their armour piercing bolts to kill Grombrindal or any other of these high level armoured units at the front. Now the Hydra is already starting to waver. These Iron Drakes have dealt some great damage. Oh wow. Okay, so Malekith's Gaze of Malice has just knocked over that entire unit. It's just about to make sure all my ranged units are firing, and that breath spell has completely swept them off their feet. Grombrindal, being the mighty warrior he is in amongst the battle getting his hands dirty. Let's use his flash bomb ability to reduce the defense, speed and leadership of the enemies around him. This will help him cut through the Drugi. It's also time for the Runesmith to get involved and help drop his ability buffs to the units around him. Let's just make sure the Thunderers are taking care of the Dark Shards and then charge him in and use the Rune of Oath and Steel. The Cold Ones are still being held back on the right flank, but the War Hydra has come back into battle. It's renowned for being difficult to kill due to its regeneration, meaning its health just keeps going up if we're not focusing fire on it. We need to finish this beast off once and for all. Now Malekith's also taking some heavy hits from our Longbeards. They're really smashing them up. Unfortunately, the Longbeards with great weapons have been fighting on that front line since the beginning and have had enough. Quite a lot of their infantry has been felled, but there's still quite a lot of ranged units left. This is music to the organ gunners' ears though. This is the perfect time for them to rack up some kills. We seem to have won the left flank, but still have some more fighting to do with these pointy ears in the middle of the battlefield. Let's get these units that were on their left flank back into the fray. Now the War Hydra is almost defeated. A few more of these spiky troll hammer torpedoes and it should be slain. The mighty beast has fallen, and even though it has 5 heads, it still only counts as 1. It will be good to see the back of that unit as it was wrecking through my front line. We still have quite a few Druki to deal with before we can claim vengeance, and the gyrocopters can help chase some of the dark shards and reduce that missile damage that we're taking. Now, I thought the Cold War Knights had had enough, but it turns out they're coming for one final charge. These Dark Elves never give up. I'm going to get the Runesmith to drop some more support, using both Rune of Oath and Steel again, and this time Rune of Negation as well. Those shades that my miners chased off earlier were hiding away in the distance, and now my Slayers are caught in amongst a lot of the fire. They could chase them, but even though they're quick for dwarves, they would not be able to catch them. I'll send my gyrocopters after them instead. The Thunderers can now focus on shooting the Sorceress, and hopefully cause her to ram. It's time to finally use the Rune of Wrath and Ruin too, and that should knock the final bit of health off those Bleak Swords. Now these Witch Elves have foolishly tried to go head on into these Iron Drakes, and they're having absolutely none of it. That was not a fair fight at all. The table seems to be turning to our favour now. We've taken a few heavy losses, but the bulk of their infantry is starting to pull back. But my ranged units, which have managed to survive behind the front line and flanks, will make sure they don't return. The organ guns have been bellowing the whole battle, but this is their chance to get the final word. The Dark Elves are routing back to Naggarond. Grombrindal and his brave brethren have trekked across dangerous lands, and that has surely taught those pointy ears a lesson. As for Malekith, he's clearly not happy about losing this battle, and he's storming back home to Naggarond. Mortal Empires is available now to anyone who owns both Warhammer 1 and Warhammer 2 as free LC, and allows for awesome matchups like this. Let us know who you're going to fight as first.